Hello and welcome to Dorks on Sports, a podcast about four dorks talking about sports. My name is Daniel. Joining me as always is Curtis Eastwood. Curtis, how are you doing over there?
I'm glowing.
Me too. This is a great day for Seattle sports. And I cannot wait to talk about it because I am having fun in all phases of Seattle sports. Allanah, how's it going?
It's going well. I am drinking Highland Park 12 tonight.
Oh,
nice.
nice.
You can't really see it. A good scotch. Not the best scotch, but a good one.
Cheers.
And I don't have to work for the next three until Tuesday. So next
Nice.
6-7 days, whatever.
Congratulations, like a little mini vacation.
Yeah, well, I'm going to Savannah
Oh man,
on Thursday.
How about that?
Mhm.
That's awesome. Well, I wish you safe travels. Millie, how's it going over there?
It's going great. Thanks.
Yeah, how's the fantasy team doing?
So great. Thanks. I hit the trifecta this week. I won both my regular leagues and once again came in first in my guillotine league.
Congratulations.
Did you have a Joe Mixon on any of your teams?
I did not.
Okay.
Joe Mixon.
Which I think is the case for most folks who won their games. No, I am super duper proud, and you will all be thrilled to know that one of those teams is led by none other than Geno Smith.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. Finally got a hold of Geno. So
Good
I get
call.
to get real excited about that every week. And yeah, flying high. You know, there might be some hope for me to get into the playoffs yet. There's just enough weeks to turn this around.
So what's your record then?
Oh gosh, I'd have to look it up. I think in one I'm 3 and no, I think I've only won 3 games. Have to update for the last week. In the one league I've won 3 games, and I think in the other one I've won 4 games.
So not great.
I got just enough time to turn it around and make the playoffs.
You're a little more Arizona Cardinals than Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, absolutely. Except for my guillotine team, which,
right.
you know, I have slowly acquired fantastic pieces. I've been smart, I think, with my budgeting, but I'm down to like $70 something from my original $1,000. So I need everyone to stay healthy. As long as they stay healthy, I see a path.
Yeah, good. Well, the Seahawks are a nice and healthy team right now, and that's a bit of good luck, you know, Jamal Adams notwithstanding. But even still, Rashad Penny. But maybe the strength of this team is that the 2 men, you know, who replaced them are playing balls out. I mean, Walker, who's a generational talent, but Ryan Neal just coming out of nowhere and having a Pro Bowl season. I don't know who could have expected that. I think he's playing out of his mind, and you know, really,
he might be the second best player on the defense right now.
That's how I feel. I mean, you know,
I don't understand why they started with Josh Jones. Like that didn't make any sense.
Neal was injured.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, you know, when Neal went down with some cramps and it looked like, you know, maybe he was injured, I was a little scared. I was like, I don't know how this defense will fare without Ryan Neal. He's doing well. The whole team is doing well. This is one of the funnest teams to watch in the league. They went to Arizona and took care of business in a dominating way once again. The game wasn't nearly as close as the score indicated. I thought it was dominating from start to finish, even with, you know, Geno's big mistake. They couldn't do anything on either side of the, I mean, you know, they let Seattle kind of do whatever they wanted. And Seattle held Kyler Murray to, you know, 5 yards per attempt. You know, Kyler got some runs in, but not enough. And then they were able to shake, rattle, and roll him and get some turnovers. And that they just, you know, made that entire sideline implode. I thought it was a really great game. I thought, again, Waldron was showing off his prowess. Just when I thought, we couldn't say anything better about Gino, here he comes, and he throws a pick six, but comes back to lead 3 scoring drives, I think, right after, to just bury the team. And again, he did it in the fourth quarter. So Gino's legit. Gino can close out a game. That was kind of the one thing everybody was talking about. Well, it's Gino Smith. Can he close out a game? He can close out a game.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row. Yeah. What did you think, Curtis? What did you see? What are you excited about?
Yeah, I had 2 really big prevailing thoughts in the conclusion of the game. The one thought I had, which is great for the Seahawks, is that they're a dangerous team right now. I mean, they're a team that if other teams aren't looking at them on their schedule and being nervous about having to play them right now, they're not being coached to run very well. They should make teams nervous. I'm quite sure that that a desperate Buccaneer team is probably looking at this one and going like, ooh,
Yeah.
It's
Poor Buccaneers, by the way. This is quote unquote their home game, but it's really Seattle's home game. Seattle has
Seahawks have a huge following in Germany.
Huge following.
They're the second most popular team in Germany.
Yeah, they have the biggest social media following in Germany. There's going to be like a big team party over there. So that's going to be great.
Who's the most popular team?
The Patriots. And it's because of when the timing of when the NFL started to be shown in Europe was right during the meat of the Patriots dynasty. And that's part of the reason they chose Tampa and Seattle, because of Tom Brady.
And
then Seattle, they knew they would have a draw. I think that game is going to be fucking fantastic. And
I do too.
So glad that I will be on the East Coast, because I don't have to get up at 6:30. I can get up at 9:30.
I know. I have to set an alarm to watch a football game. I'll do it, but come on.
I'm so excited about this because I get up normally at like 5:30. So this is like, I mean, the whole house is going to be asleep.
Oh, that's true.
Watch a football game.
Yeah.
There's not going to be somebody coming in and like trying to like bounce off my head. And it's like, I'm thrilled about this. The other prevailing thought I had coming out of this game was just, it was an interesting observation for me to see just how contrasting the Seahawks and the Cardinals are as organizations. I think how they're run. From the coaches to the quarterbacks to everything. I think where Seattle seems to be a team that feels like a Cinderella story, that they're all playing for each other and they're these feisty underdogs. I don't see any juice coming out of Arizona outside of dysfunction.
Yeah.
And I just want to say they paid in this offseason, they paid their general manager a big, hefty 5-year contract. They paid Cliff Kingsbury the same big, hefty 5-year contract. And they just gave a 5-year contract to Kyler Murray, who I just think is a kind of a punk right now. And I don't think he's got his players around him at all.
No.
So that's an interesting situation right there. And knowing how the Barnwells seem to be kind of, are they the one who owns that team down there? Is it
I think the Cardinals do. I think you're right about that.
Yeah. Anyhow, I think they're kind of fickle with money. So, I mean, I don't know what they do if they eat contracts of the coach to try and get another coach. But then I was like watching.
Sorry, Bidwells.
Okay, yeah. So it's just a real interesting, like, I mean, where Seattle seems to have sort of a rebirth within its football program. The Arizona Cardinals just seem like a genuinely like a hot mess that I don't know how they get out of that. That was actually my biggest takeaway out of watching this game was just like on the opposite ends of the spectrum, both of these teams sort of seem to be on.
100%. And the thing, this is the thing I've always had a problem with Kingsbury is that I don't see an identity on that team. Like, what does he do? Like, what is that offense? And it's even worse now. Now, Kyler isn't even doing, sort of like those athletic things that were letting them win some football games. I don't know. That whole thing is a mess. And I think it just further proves why Pete Carroll should be considered coach of the year. Millie, what did you see? What were your favorite parts about that team and where do you think it's headed?
I really had yet another fantastic time watching Seahawks football.
Me too.
This past weekend, because they remain one of the most fun teams to watch. I was not quite in the same mind as you were in feeling like we had this game in hand and dominated for the entirety. Things felt pretty even to me in the first half. I didn't see us running away with it. I remember thinking, I don't want to be right in picking the loss that I really did only pick to ensure the win. But I was a little more nervous. It was a pretty remarkable watching that pick six and seeing Gino just turn around, focus in, and move on in a way that you always, you gotta brush that off. The stupid things the announcers say, they didn't have to say it because it's just what he did. There was nothing rattled. It was yep, shouldn't have done that. Let's move on.
Yeah.
There was nothing to it. And that kind of focused play is so interesting to watch. Like, you just don't see a lot of that in general in the NFL. Everything feels so hectic and chaos ball that I'm enjoying a slightly less chaotic team for Seattle, where I feel like, crazy shit happens, but it feels focused. It doesn't feel like we're on the edge of a cliff with every play either, which is how I often felt.
There were numerous Seahawks players post game that were asked the question of what they thought, at the sideline when that pick six happened. And like, they all said how calm Geno Smith was and assuring, like, no, we're gonna go out and we're gonna score and we're gonna have to get the lead again. Don't worry about it.
It's that same sort of feeling like the week before with Lockett, where it was like, I got you, we're going to do this again and you're going to be fine.
Yes.
Anytime there's something that could shake a team, he is definitely a leader in reminding everybody, like, it's one play, it's one score. It's and fine.
It's another example of just that, like, superior confidence Geno Smith has going into this season. Like, there is nothing that is going to shake that guy. Is there a quarterback more confident than Geno Smith right now in the NFL?
Mahomes.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Mahomes
Jalen Hurts and Mahomes. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Well, I think
Mahomes struggled a little bit on Sunday night. I kind of thought.
Yeah, but he won the game.
His
play won the game.
Which is actually part of what.
Go ahead, Millie.
It's part of what concerns me about the game to come is Brady has looked so bad, and this last game was yet again so bad. I mean, they were about to lose to a team they shouldn't lose to, and but what the only thing that's making me nervous is that they did get it together, and Tom Brady was Tom Brady in a final drive where he said, no, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
I will make this happen. I will manifest it. And he did. And I swear, I thought he was going to fall to his knees and cry. You could see that how much it meant to him. And his hug with the coach on the sideline, like, there was sort of an emotional break that was about to happen if he didn't win this game.
100%.
I wish they'd lost it, because I would have loved to have had them that much of a rung lower coming in to Germany.
Oh, actually, I'm on the opposite end of it. I'm sort of happy they won it, because now I feel like they're going to feel the confidence of coming up against. Like I feel, to me, it's like a more desperate Tom Brady led team that has a pretty good defense actually makes me a little bit more nervous with Seattle, looking at the schedule and everything like that. Now, them winning this game, I think probably makes Seattle go like, yeah, we got to fucking take the Bucs seriously. Now they still have the GOAT playing quarterback, and he can win. So
yeah. I absolutely agree with that. It keeps the Seahawks humble and on the same trajectory they've been on. I just liked my Tom Brady a little more unsure of himself, which is how he's looked. But
I'm with you though, Millie. If they had lost against the Rams, that might have been a backbreaker to Tom Brady. Has he ever started a season that poorly?
Well, he's never started a season as poorly as they were going into last week's game. I mean, he's never had that before.
That might have been a backbreaker to that Tom Brady ego. That's going to be a really fun game. I think that the Seahawks are going to have to lean on their run game a little bit. The Bucs aren't great against the run. And the way to, play Tom Brady is to keep him off the field. So, you want more of those 9-minute drives like the Seahawks had at the end of Sunday's game, which were brilliant drives, just like those, that classic Pete Carroll, we're going to pound the ball down your throat and we're just going to take all the time off this clock. That said, Ken Walker III, I think he had only 36 yards in the first half and then ripped off 76 yards in the second half. If there was a game that was going to, I'm going to say this for two players. If there was a game that was going to add to his resume for offensive rookie of the year, like the game you go, that was the game where, Ken broke out, I would say it was Sunday's game. And it wasn't because he had a lot of stats, but because he was instrumental in closing that game out. And I'm going to say the same about Geno Smith. If Geno Smith gets any MVP votes, you're going to look back on this game and you're going to go, that's why Geno Smith is the MVP, because he can take a team that should have lost on a backbreaker play and took him down the field, for 3 scores to bury a team in the fourth quarter.
Not only 3 scores, but 3 touchdowns. And not only 3 touchdowns, but 2 consecutive 13-play drives that ended in touchdowns.
Yeah.
The backbreaker was not the the pick six. The backbreaker was the methodical running down of the clock 100%. By the Seahawks, just pounding them and doing it with a good mix of run and pass. And then that third drive, that's what we basically said, all right, Ken, close it. And he did. And that's that's what's great about him. He's different than Marshawn. He's different than Kurt Warner. He's different than Sean Alexander, because his primary skill is being ready to go in the fourth quarter. Yes, he can move like Barry Sanders a little bit, but he's ready to go and ready to get those yards that he's been priming the defense to get once he gets into the fourth quarter. And that's why I think we can potentially look at him as a generational talent. You were saying that earlier, and I was like, a potential generational talent. I don't want to get the cart too far out of the horse, but he's great.
One of the things that I when I was watching him this Sunday, I was thinking about this, and he's the type of running back that he's a home run hitter, right? Like Sean Alexander, he's gonna search for that hole that's gonna break him out for that 60-yard run. But while he is a home run hitter like that, a lot of times those home run hitter types, they get stymied a lot at the line of scrimmage, or they get tackled for loss because they're always kind of bouncing around and searching for that hole that's going to like rip one. The thing about Ken Walker is that he's quietly like this 6-yard assassin. Like he quietly just gets these chunk plays. That's like 5 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards. And that's the kind of thing that'll just break.
He knows when to get skinny.
Back. Yeah, he gets skinny.
He's like a rat crawling through a hole the size of a quarter. Like
that's exactly what it looks like. That's exactly what it looks like. Yeah. And you think he should only get 3 yards, and then all of a sudden, like they're 2 yards from a first down. But that's why they're converting like 63% of their third downs now, or whatever that is. I mean, Geno Smith has a lot to do with that too, but you know, I that's one of the reasons why this offense has been as successful as it has. And I think one of the biggest differences between this Geno, Waldron offense and the Russell offense of the past 5 years or whatever, which wasn't great on third down. But man, Ken Walker, he's fun to watch. And I think
I love that we can just throw in a little Homer every now and then to be the bowling ball opposite of the get skinny.
I love Homer. Oh, I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
Been better than I thought he would be.
Totally, absolutely.
I've never been a big believer in him as like anything more than like just the sort of change of pace kind of back. But I sort of feel like if Walker got hurt and we had to sort of like lean into Homer for,
a couple games,
20,
for a game, yeah,
carry the game. Like it's just like he could potentially do it. Like I feel like he's built up his body more than he's been in the past.
Agree. Like, and DJ Dallas is no slouch right now either. I think DJ
no, not at all.
Good yards.
If only he could field a punt.
Oh, God.
If only anybody could field a punt.
If only anyone could.
Have we had a good punt returner since like the early 10s with like that Leon Washington era?
Yeah.
Lockett was.
Lockett in his first year. But then after that, we were like, we want you on the offense. And it was like, I want
to talk about Lockett here for a minute, because he was getting a little railroaded by some Seattle fans on Sunday because he made a business decision to slide like a couple yards on a fourth down. And this is what I want to say about that.
Third down.
Lockett isn't a young man anymore, and he's not a big man. And I would rather have Tyler Lockett make a business decision and not convert a first down than potentially get blown up and out for the year, especially because he's nursing an injury right now.
But and I just, because you all listen to a lot more radio and know these things that I don't, but was it actually that, or did he think he'd gotten to the first down marker? Because that's what it looked like on television. It looked like he thought he got there. He got up with the whole, like, I got the first down. And
yeah,
like,
my initial thought is I thought it was a business decision,
Okay.
but and that's only because I feel like I've seen this in other games this season where I haven't seen it for him, where he just sort of stops and slows and like, no, I'm not gonna get crunched by this safety right now.
He goes down like a quarterback.
But he's also he's 30 years old, and
exactly, this is my point.
Years.
Yeah,
like it's just like I don't mind Tyler Lockett occasionally making a business decision.
Totally.
I mean, he got freaking leveled.
He got
lit. That Collins dude on that 3rd and 12 catch that he did. So like no one
big catch.
Tyler Lockett's toughness when the game is on the line.
Oh yeah, that touchdown too. I mean, he was on his ass catching that touchdown.
Like he's a tough little firecracker. But yeah, I mean, my initial thought was a business. Somebody on the radio today, I think it was Wyman or somebody on 710, said that maybe there was a thought that because that's natural turf down there, that the grass sort of, people were slipping and losing their footing throughout the game on other plays, and maybe that's what happened there too.
I heard that too. I don't know. I would have to watch it again. It didn't look like that to me, but that said, I didn't mind it. I like my pocket locket. He's, I hated when people talked about Sean Alexander making those business decisions too. I think that's dumb with players that regularly produce. So stop it. Lockett is he's in it to win it. And speaking of Lockett, he and DK went out for their presser together again. And I just think that is fucking awesome.
Well, I just love DK doing his Lockett impression with his touchdown catch. Tiptoe
Yeah.
corner.
I know. Yeah, that was great. Tyler Lockett, by the way, is about to pass Doug Baldwin in touchdowns franchise for the franchise.
And I think that DK, if he gets 2 more tutters, he will be the most productive receiver in NFL history, if I'm not mistaken, in the first 4 years.
4 years.
That's incredible.
I think I heard that. I just want to bond.
I shout out to DK.
Yeah.
It's really easy for, especially right now with receivers getting paid like they are, right? And DK is the ultimate team player this season. I think that guy has matured a ton. I think he's become a leader. You used to see DK every once in a while kind of like have a tantrum, throw fit, and want the ball, be asking for the ball. I want the ball. And it's not like DK's numbers are lighting up the boards right now, but I don't think that matters to him. I think DK right now is, if the team's winning, I'm winning. And I love that. I don't know what that's a product of. I don't know if it's a product of maturity. I don't know if it's, a new guy at quarterback, given some new leadership, or Pete Carroll getting in there. But shout out to DK. I see a much improved man. Do you agree? Have you seen that?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I remember, because until you just mentioned it, it's like, yeah, there's a maturity that I know that, especially last year, there were more than one time where it was like, come on, man, stop it. And it's just not happening this year. I think he's still gonna, get into it with the guys covering him here and there, but we're not seeing it.
Yeah.
Right. But we're not seeing the dumb plays that we saw last season.
Speaking of, I started to see Tariq Woolen chirping on Sunday, and I kind of like that. That shows me that's a dude who's really gaining some confidence. I like my cornerbacks to be chirping. I like chirpers in my quarterbacks. So keep it going, Tariq. I want to see that.
I like referring to shit talk as chirping.
Chirping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we move on to some Tampa Bay Seahawks predictions?
Yeah.
How did we do on Sunday, Millie?
Well, of course, the three of you predicted that the Hawks would win, and they did.
Thank you for taking one for the team, Millie.
You're welcome.
All of the 12s appreciate that.
You're all very welcome. So glad to be wrong. And then just kind of looking at the projections, Allanah and Dan had the same projection, and Curtis went all in at 33-17, and I'm declaring him the winner.
Yeah, well
deserved. Rightfully so. Good job.
Yeah, nice work.
Yeah, I thought Scott was gonna win this one comfortably. Making me a little bit nervous for the first 2.5 quarters, but
and if it wasn't
very similar, I was just going to throw this in. If this in many ways felt like a fairly similar game to the game they played against the Giants, and that it was close for a while, but then offensively they just started to really wear down the defense.
And like that Giants game, I just was never nervous. I just felt like that team had it in control. Here's the other thing that I think is interesting. This is way different than, the Seahawks of the past 10 years. They're not playing heart attack ball right now. And
no,
I very much appreciate, like, closing it out in the fourth quarter, like not doing like those last minute drives and stuff like that. Please keep that up. I like those comfortable wins. Yeah.
I want to, I know we're not going to get, we're about to go into predictions, but I just wanted to call out the NFL schedulers for a moment because, like, I think they saw that we took the team that was furthest away from Germany and sent them to Germany. Like,
Yeah, I know.
okay, cool. And so they were like, okay, you're going to have a lot of road games at the start of the season, and then you're going to have your bye, and then you're going to have 5 of 7 at home.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
what? I'll take it anytime. I mean, 5 of 7 after the bye at home.
100%.
That's like welcome to the playoffs. That's welcome to the number 3 seed. That's
Totally.
Minnesota looks good, but do they really look that good? Welcome to the number 2 seed.
They don't. I'm just not sold on Minnesota. I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be tanking a little bit.
Outside of that,
Seahawks are a
Niners
dangerous
game,
team.
they're a dangerous team, and
They're a
outside of
dangerous
that
team.
Niners game, I think those are all wins. And that Niners game, I'm not saying it's a loss, but like the Niners are going to be tough regardless. But like if we come out, we go and take care of business against Tampa, which my prediction is that we see the Tom Brady of most of the season, and it's 28-13 Seahawks. And it's just the exact same game we just watched the past 2 weeks, where you get some early game scuffles, but then at the end of the game, there's nothing whatever that defense can do to stop Geno. But I'm looking at the second half of the season, and I think I think we're losing 2 more times this season, and that's at KC and at LA. And it's only because Mahomes, and it's only because LA. And that would put us at 12-5.
Yeah,
and I think that's good enough for the 2 seed.
it could be. I don't see Minnesota producing like they did. I think
their schedule gets a lot harder.
Gets a lot harder, and they've been playing some close games and getting some good bounces. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good prediction, Allanah. What do you got, Curtis? What are you predicting?
It's interesting. So Tampa Bay offensively is like, I believe, either the 30th or the 31st worst offensive scoring team in the league, worst DVOA in the league. They don't have any explosive receivers. They don't have receivers outside of the one big douchebag that Brady likes to throw to. Fournette's been benched as a running back. They're just not a very explosive offense. So this is a really good matchup for Seattle's defense, and it's a really bad matchup, I think, for Brady this week, going up against a resurgent, aggressive, fast, hard-hitting Seattle defense that doesn't have to worry about a scrambling quarterback. But I will say also, the Tampa Bay defense is pretty good. They're the 3rd best quarterback sacking team in the league, and I think they're 11th best at getting turnovers. But they're not that great against the run. And interestingly enough, in all of that, they are one of the worst red zone defenses in the league. They give up
Interesting.
So this is very interesting. So in a way, it's like, I can anticipate this being kind of a rough one for a while for the Seattle offense. I think it's going to be a rough one throughout the game for the Tampa Bay offense. But there's chinks in the armor of that Tampa Bay defense that makes me think that a run game getting going, some explosive plays happening, built off of the run game that get us into the red zone is going to get Seattle touchdowns in this game. So I'm going to say something pretty close to Allanah. I'm going to say 24-13 Seahawks.
Nice.
We score touchdowns, they kick field goals, we win the game.
I agree with everything you said, Curtis. That I think this defense is a Brady buster. You know, the how you beat Brady is by getting in his face. And you know, you don't have to sack him. It's hard to sack Brady because he can get the ball out so fast, but you have to make him uncomfortable and you have to get in his face. Our defense can do that. And our defense can do that without blitzing, which means we can cover more receivers. And Tampa doesn't have a run game. Like, their run game is abhorrent. So I think that the defensive scheme is going, they don't have to stack a box. I think that they can rely on their front four, or maybe even, you know, like a front three if they really want to play with their interior linemen and get after Brady. I think they're going to make him uncomfortable. I think Brady's going to throw an interception in this game. I don't know if we're going to get a lot of sacks, but I think we're going to get a lot of hits. I think we're going to pound him. And I think Waldron is going to call a really sort of slow game. I think we're going to run it. And I think we're going to do that, you know, methodical 9 to 13 play drives. Brady's going to get his because he does. I'm saying 27-17.
I just want to say, Newell, I disagree with you about the sacks. I think we'll be all over him.
I hope so.
And I think Nuoso gets another 2. Go ahead,
Oh,
Neil.
man. Oh, Nuoso.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
so good.
So as usual, my interesting facts of things to think about is that Brady has never lost outside of the country. He is very good at playing these faraway games. So we're going to deal him that first loss. I love the stories that I'm hearing about what our organization has done in order to make sure that our team feels good and is ready to go. They've done everything from installing a basketball hoop, because they have basketball hoops everywhere in their practice facilities, to they pre-shipped everybody's practice uniforms and the shoes that they want to wear on game day to make sure none of this stuff gets lost or stuck in customs. They have they've done a lot to make sure it's all ready for them when they get there, and there's no stress from that travel. And I think that is a huge thing, especially for this team and how they operate on such a team level, that everybody needs to have their things. Makes sense to me. I absolutely think we're going to win this game. And I think we're going to sack Brady. Nothing makes him more insecure than some sacks.
100%.
So I want to see sacks on sacks on sacks. And I am going to call this Hawks 24, Bucks 17. And that is 3 field goals, 1 touchdown, and a 2-point conversion.
Nice.
I just want to say, we were talking in the chat beforehand, and I said something to the effect of Seattle being a less of an art city than it has been, unfortunately.
You're not wrong.
But you know what we are really good at as a city is fucking logistics. And what Millie was just describing was like, UPS was invented here.
Yes.
That's where we started. It started here. Amazon started here. Now,
that's right.
Say what you will about Amazon. They understand what logistics means.
Boeing was started here.
Those are all companies, Microsoft. These are all companies that understand logistics and the process of getting things done. And to hear that the team, and that's the first I've heard of it, put as a priority shipping their practice uniforms out, shipping their shoes out, making it the environment in Germany welcoming to them, it makes me almost want to change my prediction because I have full and complete faith that they're going to clobber. They're going to grind. They're going to be ready, and they're just going to beat them. And it'll feel so good. What's the over under on Tom Brady temper tantrums? What's the over under on broken equipment?
How many
2?
Microsoft tablets is he going to break in Germany?
Right.
Yeah.
Boone is gonna break Brady. He's gonna break him.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know. Oh, yeah. I'm saying I'm giving the over under at two Microsoft tablets.
2 tantrums.
Yeah.
Here's another interesting little inside the game within the game thing. So Todd Bowles is coaching the Buccaneers. Todd Bowles was the New York Jets coach that decided to bench Geno Smith in favor of Ryan Fitzpatrick.
So Geno's continuing his fuck you tour against Tampa Bay.
Geno's
like
probably
it.
going to work really hard to not, let the emotions stir up. But I can guarantee you, Geno Smith wants to win this fucking game.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
hilarious. I love it. Well, that's great. I hope the Hawks roll in Germany and get their win and come home and they get a week off and we can if they can go into that bye 7-3, holy cats. It reminds me a little bit of that 05 season where that Seahawks team started out kind of bad. They lost that first game in Jacksonville, and I think they started out 2-3, but they went into their bye 5-2, or maybe they started out. No, I can't remember. Yeah, 2-3, I think, right? I can't remember. Whatever it was, they started out poorly. They went into their bye like 5-2, and then ran the table. Like all the power rankings this season, that team had some expectations, but they were hanging around sort of like the 12-10 area in the power rankings before they just started slowly climbing their way back up that power ranking, just like the Seattle Seahawks team. Although in the power rankings, the Seattle Seahawks team started out this season in most power rankings around number 30, 28, 29. And now they're in the top 10 for everybody. And I think they should be ranked even higher. I think some of the national media are still kind of sitting on them a little bit.
Breaking news that I wanted to share real quick.
Oh, yeah.
They called the race for John Fetterman over.
I saw that a while ago. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great. That's great.
It's just good. It makes me feel good to be a human.
Yeah, that's great.
Dems have 48 seats in the Senate right now projected, and the GOP has 47.
So we're still waiting on a
tight
couple.
race. It's a really tight race.
We're not going to know a lot for at least a week or so.
No.
Yeah, and that Georgia
probably
one might be a runoff.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
that will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it will be as well.
Sorry, I just thought that would be good news for a lot of our viewers.
That's great news. And by the way, like Patty Murray winning, and I don't have to watch another fucking Tiffany Smiley ad on my sports.
Or listening to my sports or watching my Hulu.
Jesus Christ. In other great news, the Kraken just got their 5th win in a row and a dominating 5-1 performance against the Predators. That team has come alive. And like the Seahawks and like the Mariners, they started out the season slow, but with some buy-in and a bunch of, players that I hate saying no-name players because it's not true, but I think what I want to say is I don't know. I think these are players that are good and don't get the respect that they deserve. And it's coaches that build a community in the locker room. Scott Service and Haxtell and Pete Carroll, I think all 3 of them are coaches like that. And they're big on chemistry and these teams playing for each other. and the Kraken are doing that right now. And now the Kraken are 8-4-2 and second in the Western Conference and fourth in the entire league. And I mean, I think this Kraken team is going to make the playoffs, and I don't think it's too early to call that. This Kraken team is good. Matty Beniers, their rookie, is favored to win their Rookie of the Year. He's leading all rookies in scoring. Their free agents that they brought in have been producing, but this team looks different than last year's team. Last year's team looked like a team of patchwork players that had never played together. And then they did a fire sale at the end of that season, and Hackstall got rid of the players who weren't buying into the program. So now he has a team of players who have bought into the program and have bought into each other, and they're playing like it. It was a dominating win, and they've been dominating the past 4 games. The defense is better, but the offense is creative. It's urgent. That you can see that there's communication between the players on the ice, and they're getting those really cool goals that you were seeing other teams do against the Kraken last season. And it's just it's really fun to watch. So I love that this year, 2022, is the year of Seattle sports, and it's also the year of the players. Of just like, we don't need like the superstar, we don't need a blue chipper. We can lean on each other, and we can be good as a team. And you know, if we love each other and we play like that and we play hard, we can win games. And it's showing. And I hope that becomes like the Seattle identity. If that's the Seattle identity from here on out, man, what a great legacy. I think that's awesome. Who else is Millie? Have been watching some Kraken?
I've only gotten to see a little bit because we don't have Root Sports anymore. But I did watch all of tonight's game, which was a fantastic game to choose, which of course I chose because it was on TNT. Right. But I mean, they scored their first goal in the first minute. And just stayed on top.
It didn't let up. Yeah.
It was fun. It was engaging. It was fast. They looked like that last season because it was their first season.
Right.
And now there is a cohesiveness, and they look like a real NHL hockey team now.
They look like a real NHL hockey team. That's it. I mean, that's the thing.
I mean, and say what you will, but maybe it's just that buoy magic.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a little troll magic.
That's right. I think I should tweet that out to Haxel. I say you owe your season to buoy.
That's right. It's all about buoy.
Buoy's the best, and just remember, it's for the kids. I've talked to so many people.
It's growing on me.
Yeah. I don't understand the people who hate Buoy. I think Bowie's great.
Bowie's, I mean, he's the Fremont troll, but a hipster.
Like, come on.
It's Seattle.
How much more Seattle can you get? Come on.
I will say, I figured out my only thing with like the look of it. They did a little video with some other mascots, and they're like supposed to be a band, and they're singing and whatever. And the shape of the troll head, because of the shape of it, it lands basically at the shoulders because it's a big old brick of a head. Yeah. When you look at the other ones, they all have these tapered lower parts to their heads. So when they move, their heads sort of bob around like a bobblehead, and it's a little extra jauntiness that when Bowie does it, looks like a big brick on shoulders, which is very troll-like. It's very troll-like, but it's not quite, the super fun bobbly head of the devil, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
gritty.
Sure, right? Like, so we might need to do a little fine tuning to that costume, but on the whole, I actually have come to find Bowie's kind of fun. And yeah, he's for the kids. Fun. The plush
for the kids.
The plush Bowie is adorable.
Come on,
is it?
I know. Yeah.
He's got an earring. He's got a little tentacle coming out.
Oh yeah,
That's right. I know. What drives me crazy is like, well, why could it should be a Kraken or an octopus or something like that. It's like, when have mascots ever matched the mascot? You know what I mean? I mean, you got a Mariner Moose. When it was the Sonics, we had a Sasquatch.
And really, we have to look at
Philadelphia.
Awesome. We have to look at Philadelphia in this particular capacity, because the Philly Fanatic is one of the best mascots in sports, and Gritty
and what the fuck is
the
it?
other best mascot in sports.
Totally.
So and neither of those things have anything to do with the team names.
Anything.
Right.
Yeah.
They also have two of the worst mascots in sports, because I would really encourage you to I forgot the rabbit that is the mascot for the 76ers. It's like hip hop something, and it's fucking terrible. And the eagle that's a mascot for the Eagles is similarly terrible. For whatever reason, the NFL doesn't do mascots well.
No.
They don't. Yeah, that's true. The NFL doesn't do mascots well.
Because everything is too serious in the NFL.
I think that's right.
Yeah, it's very
Blitz
on
is
the
fun.
nose.
I like Blitz.
Blitz is fun, but also Blitz is a Seahawk. That's not fun. Like,
I also like, if you're
Mariners
talking about
got the
mascots for the Seahawks, give me Tama, the actual Seahawk.
Right.
Like the real thing.
One thing I will say about the actual Kraken and how they're playing is looking at some of the just sort of the statistics and the standings. There's three teams, the Kraken, the Kings, and the Oilers, who all have 8 wins right now. So we're in second, but we're there with 2 other teams, but our differential is +9. And I think that's the most telling thing when you look at last season, where not only were we not good, we couldn't score. We just couldn't. And the few times we did, we got outscored.
We were blown out so many games.
We're at +9. Like the Kings are at -3. Like we have a real chance here because we have the offense that we didn't have last year. So I see hope. I see real hope for that playoff that you want so bad.
I do too. And especially in like this 5-game win streak, it's not like we've been beating up on lower rung teams. We've beat good teams.
Oh yeah.
And that's a really good sign. I think this, I think I'm just really excited, and go Kraken. It's fun to watch. It's fun to have the Mariners being good, the Kraken, the Seahawks, the Huskies. It's just all good. I mean, even the Storm, who went to the conference championship. Like this is a great year for Seattle sports. I don't know. Was it the curse of Russell Wilson?
It could have been, and because all these teams, they're playing for each other, and they're playing with so much fun, and they're playing with star rookies, and the characters on these teams are so engaging and so interesting.
I have a theory with Seattle sports. This is not the market. This is not the region for the superstar athlete. Like it is. I mean, we've got superstar athletes. We've had them. I think we have some emerging in this town, but I would, and maybe I should say it more succinctly, like the diva superstar athlete. Totally. Like I just don't think that people in this region identify with that. We identify more with the underdog sort of mentality,
the blue collar,
and the players that sort
not
of
the blue. I disagree with the blue collar, but I agree with the underdog.
Well, I didn't say blue collar.
Oh, Dan did. I was sorry.
Well, I think Seattle used to be a very blue collar town, but it's changed over the years.
Yeah. I want to, when you say it's not a place for superstar athlete, I would bring the adoration that we have for Ken Griffey, the adoration that we have for Ichiro Suzuki, and maybe baseball is outside of that overall. But it's I would agree that we like the underdog. We like somebody who's playing the game, and we like somebody who's playing the game for the right reasons. Ichiro played the game because he wanted to create a beautiful game. Like that's his entire reason for existence.
Griffey played the game like a 12-year-old kid.
Exactly. Yeah. And Julio plays the game like a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I feel like Gino plays the game because he understands the game.
Yeah.
And that level of intelligence and interaction with the mechanisms that make football an awesome sport make him lovable.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Curtis, that we don't want divas.
Yeah. I think that was the trap that Russ, I think, fell into here, was that he wanted the entourage, he wanted the limelight, he wanted all the
he wanted to be the guy.
Yeah. And
desperately. Yeah. And while Ken Griffey Jr. didn't have the entourage and stuff, but he had the video game and he had the Nike and he had everything, but he earned it. Like, it's not like Griffey was desperately begging for it. Like it felt like Russell Wilson was. And I will say, like, I think Seattle turned on Sean Alexander when, it came out that he was pissed at Mike Holmgren for not giving him a chance to get the rushing crown that year, that 2004, 2005 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think that's when Seattle turned on Sean Alexander, because they felt like he was being a bit of a diva, which is, you never heard that coming. Yeah, right. But I think that's true. And I think that's like, I loved Russell Wilson for the production that he did. We'd never had a quarterback who produced like that, but he wasn't my favorite. Matt Hasselbeck has always been my favorite quarterback. And now Geno Smith is like challenging that. You know what I mean? Like, I love Geno Smith, and I love Geno Smith like I love Matt Hasselbeck, which is just like these dudes coming to work, ready to play and playing for their teammates and doing nothing more than that. It's nothing more than what they're doing on the field and what they're doing for their team. And I think this Seahawks team is just full of that, with Tyler and DK and Nwosu and all those guys, Diggs and everybody. It's fun to watch. Really fun to watch. Should we get in some Dorking?
Yeah.
Let's get into some Dorking. Who wants to start? Curtis, you want to start with some Dorking?
Yeah, I'll make mine real quick. So like 2 weeks ago, I went on a little a little bit of a tirade about Star Wars and Andor.
Andor, yeah.
I was kind of trashing the Andor for not having all
it doesn't have Wookiees and space wizards and lightsabers
and Yodas and all that sort of business.
Yeah.
Last week's episode of Andor was fucking phenomenal. It was like one
of
the
finale.
No, it's not. There's more to come, and I'm not sure it's wrapping up soon with the way in which but it was a stellar episode, and I don't use that word lightly. It was great television. It was great, yeah, and so I'm just gonna say everything I said 2 weeks ago was crap. It was garbage. It was trash talking needlessly. I mean, that's where we're at now in society. Is we have to have our hot takes. We have to have our quick decisions on things. We can't let things, sort of, just kind of simmer on a stove for a while. We need instant, immediate shit to say. And so I fell into that trap 2 weeks ago, and I take it all back. I think Andor is wonderful, and I can't wait to watch the new episode tomorrow.
I think Disney accepts your apology, Curtis.
Well, they should.
They're really down and out at Disney. They're not making a lot of.
That's right.
A lot of content. They're not making a lot of money. But I do want to commend you for sticking with it, despite that. Like you were saying that it's something that is not present in our society, but I think it's very true of you. Like you stick with you dance with the girl who brung you, right? And Star Wars really brung you. and you're going to stick it out and you're going to watch the whole thing. You're going to stick out all of She-Hulk or whatever particular Marvel movie that you're not sticking with. You're going to commit to it, and you're going to appreciate it for what it brings on its own terms. And that's an admirable quality.
It is. More people need that in this world right now.
That's what I say.
Yeah. Right.
So everybody, like, stick with your metaphorical Andor for the sake of the world, God damn it. Millie, what are you talking out about?
I've been racking my brain and I'm just not dorking out about anything right now, which is a little disappointing.
No, I'm with you. I was racking my brain. Here's what I'm dorking out about: Seattle sports. That's what I'm dorking out about.
Yeah,
Every day I'm watching something.
I've been spending so much time listening to fantasy podcasts that I haven't had a lot of time for other things.
No, this is my thing. This is what I want to say. When a team is good and exciting and fun to watch, I will consume every ounce of content about that team. And that's all I do. So the Seahawks have a great win against the Giants. That entire week, all I'm doing is trolling all the sports sites I know, reading everything I can about the Seahawks and Geno Smith and how good they are, because I just love the validation from the national media saying that these Seattle Seahawks are good. And it's the same thing with the Kraken. So if I'm not watching the Seahawks and I'm not watching the Kraken and now the Mariners season is over, I'm reading about the Kraken and the Mariners and the Seahawks. That's all I'm doing right now. And that's okay. That's Dorks on Sports. I am dorking about Seattle sports. Are you with me?
I am with you.
Of course.
Right. Yeah. What are you dorking out about, Allanah?
I went and saw Tar, which is a movie about a film composer, or sorry, not film composer, the person who a conductor who conducts a symphonic orchestra, and it is sitting with me. It has been sitting with me since I saw it on Sunday evening. The performance was from Cate Blanchett was pretty phenomenal. The thing about the movie that intrigued me the most was that it only asked questions. It did not have a moral judgment over this character. And it's really about, we join the movie at her peak and watch what happens to her into a descent into effectively being canceled. And I have some issues with the idea of cancel culture because it doesn't exist. And the only people who actually get punished by cancel culture are people who are not in power or people who are not cishet white men.
Totally.
Because like Louis C.K. is still winning.
That was going to be my example. If cancel culture existed, why is Louis C.K. still,
and why is Dave Chappelle hosting Saturday Night Live?
Exactly.
Again, now. So, and why is J.K. Rowling still publishing books?
Right.
She is not. She is a bad example in that case, but she's also a billionaire, so fuck her. But anyway, the performances specifically from Cate Blanchett were astounding. The storytelling, like this is as tightly a written script as I've ever seen. And when I think I mentioned when Curtis brought up Andor a couple of weeks ago, I said it's it's Star Wars for adults. This is a movie that is for adults. This is a movie that invites you to come in with the understanding that you're going to sit, you're going to watch, and you're going to think, and you're going to let it impact you, and you're going to let it exist in its own terms. But then you're going to have a dialogue with it throughout the movie. And like I was watching at various points, like completely sitting forward in my seat, versus sitting back and just like every single point I had my hand on my mouth because that's my thinking face. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And it's burrowed inside me. And the fact is that it was built in a style that emphasized the question and without the answer. And it made me think a lot about, we don't have any morality police in our world. And that's a good thing, of course, because everybody lives under different morals. But when we start to like apply our moral code to someone else, like we're judging them based on something that they didn't necessarily agree with or agree to. And like, but at the same time, and part of the reason that I'm having this kind of like really friction-filled interaction with it is there's an entire scene that's at the very start of the movie where she deconstructs someone's reaction to Bach, which is based around the fact that he is a bisexual pangender person, and he views Bach as being a representative of misogyny. And she kind of takes that and dissects it into what is most accurately portrayed as a YouTube response, right? And in doing that, she is also an asshole, but in my opinion, his argument breaks because she is able to demonstrate, like theater artists with Shakespeare, you need to have Bach because he created the language. He created the language of classical music. Shakespeare created the language of theater in a lot of ways, and at least in terms of how we use it.
Of modern theater, sure.
Of modern, yeah, exactly. And so we, Shakespeare isn't like it's old, dead, white male theater, but it has relevance because it created the language. And so like I'm navigating all of these things because of what I believe, how I feel, who I am, all those things. And it's just it's a mind worm of a movie. And I think it's worth seeing. So I would encourage you to see that.
Have you seen Todd Field's other two
I have
movies?
not seen either of his other movies.
I haven't either. I just have a friend who basically feels like he has made 3 like near perfect movies, and that he just takes his time with them, and that he is really truly just sort of this under the radar auteur as a director. And I definitely want to see Tar. I've heard such good things, but it's also made me go back. I was like, I know these movies. What are they? And it's little children
and in the bedroom.
And they're all very adult movies.
Yes.
Very mature subject matter. And oftentimes that scares me because I really like to let my brain escape, but every now and then I'm willing to go there. And it sounds like this is definitely worth that. I
think it's worth a full dissection. It really is. And I also saw another movie this weekend, which was After Sun, which is like, Curtis, that would be a movie for you. Maybe if you don't want to, if you're not in like a Marvel mood, because it's about a dad traveling with his daughter to a resort in Turkey, but it turns out that's the last time she ever saw him. And it was a weeper. As a father, as a parent, I don't like father. As a dad, I was a mess at the end of the movie. If that's your thing, I like crying in movies a lot.
I do too.
But that one was, and I invited Daniel, but he was working. That movie made me weep. So, and I like that.
What's the name of the film?
After Sun.
After Sun.
It's a really emotional, tender movie. So if that's not your thing, then totally don't worry about it.
Is Tar
it can be my thing? I kind of want to see the Wakanda Forever movie.
I'm
going to see that this coming weekend.
I can, yeah. I mean, any storyline that I watch where it's a father and it's a child. I mean, I couldn't stand most of the Thor Love and Thunder movie, but when it got to that last leg of the movie where it became, he and a kid, then I was kind of like, oh, okay, now I'm actually excited about the next Thor movie. It's just like I dig, I dig being a dad. I dig that thing. So it'd probably be something I would watch.
Is Tar playing in the theaters or is that streaming?
I saw it in the theaters. I went to
It's still in the theaters.
Thornton Creek up here.
I gotta check it
Thornton Place. Yeah, I think it's a 3-hour movie.
Yeah,
so
we're in Oscar bait season.
Yeah.
I gotta start seeing some movies. All right, that sounds fantastic. I'm gonna have to check some stuff out. Hey, if you're listening to this podcast and you like what you hear, you should check out Curtis's blog, 12life.com. There's always some really, really good stuff on there, and he writes a lot during the football season. And if you like this podcast, you should follow us if you're not already. Hit that plus button or the subscribe or that check mark wherever you're listening to us. You can find us on Spotify and Apple and Audible and Stitcher and Google and I don't know, anywhere you can find your podcast. And if you can't find us, let us know and we'll add you. Once again, my name is Daniel. For Millie, Allanah, Curtis, the rest of the 12s saying goodbye and go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Das ist gut.